In this video, I want to have a look at Simpson's rule. So Simpson's rule can be used to approximate the area of irregular shapes. So the formula for Simpson's rule is on your formula sheet. So it says here the area is approximately equal to h over 3. So h is the distance between successive measurements. Then we've got outside of df plus 4dm plus dl. So that's your first measurement, your middle measurement, and your last measurement. That's going to make a whole lot more sense with an example, so let's have a look at one. So in our example, we've got this irregular shape here. We've got three measurements, 12 metres, 15 metres and 17 metres, and that 10 metres is the whole distance along the bottom. So to solve it, the first thing you always want to do is write down your formula. So we're going to have A is equal to h over 3 side of df plus 4dm plus dl. So our h is the distance between successive measurements. So it's not the whole distance along the bottom, it's just from one length to the other. So if that whole thing's 10, then our h is going to be 5. So that bit there's 5 and this one's 5 as well. And in Simpson's rule, these measurements always have to be equal distances apart. df, dm and dl, doesn't matter which end you start at, but let's call that our df, that 12. The 15 has to be our dm, because it's the middle one, and dl is the last one. So that would give us 5 over 3 outside of 12 plus 4 times 15 plus 17, which when you pop it in your calculator will come out to give about 148.3 metres squared if we round to one decimal place. In our second example, we're actually going to have to use two applications of Simpson's rule. So the first application will find the area of this first part of the shape. And the second application will find the area of the second part of the shape. So Simpson's rule once for this part and Simpson's rule a second time for this bit. So we'll write down our formula again, and we're going to write it twice this time. Alright, so we've got our formula written down twice because we're going to do two applications. We need to figure out what this h is. So we're given the 20 metres all the way along the bottom, and we need to figure out how far it is between each of those measurements. So because we've got 4 spaces, we're going to go 20 divided by 4, which would give us 5. So we know our h is equal to 5. In our first one then, this is our df, our first measurement, the 18 is our dm, and our 16 is our dl. So we can fill in it in for that first one. So we've got 5 over 3, outside of 12, plus 4 times 18 plus 16. For our second application, we've still got that same h of 5, so it'll be 5 over 3. Now for this one, that 16 is actually going to be our first measurement, so that's our df. The 10 is our middle number, and our dl is this point here, so that doesn't have a height at all, so our last measurement will be equal to 0. So it's going to be 16 plus 4 times 10 plus 0. So if you put that whole thing in your calculator then, it'll come out to give you exactly 260 metres squared. Simpson's rule can also be used for the volume of irregular shapes, and this formula is on your formula sheet as well. So for example, if we had a section of river, and we're told that the area of this cross section and this one, and this one. So we've got the areas of 3 cross sections that are measured equal distances apart. So it's the same formula, just with areas instead of distances. So we've got h over 3 outside of AL plus 4 times the middle area plus the last area. So we're not going to do an example of that one, but it can be asked of you as well.